It's the old Doctor Who show, episode number 120 minutes. This is Kevin Seal. Look out! They're throwing muses!
120 minutes.
Go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine. You couldn't control my mind before, and you certainly can't control it now.
Would you like a jelly, yes?
The TARDIS, when working properly, is capable of many amazing things.
The first polarity of the neutron flows, and the TARDIS will be free of the force field.
But the TARDIS is more than a machine, Stephen. It's like a person, you see.
The resulting reaction, describe it. Are you ready?
Welcome back to the old Doctor Who show, your tri-weekly classic Doctor Who review podcast. I am your friend, Eric, coming at you on a Sunday, 4 o'clock. Dan is not here. Again, that's two... No, he's here. What did I say you were doing last time?
Wait for me. Hey, here I
Yeah,
am.
I forgot. Last time you were at an anti-abortion rally, I think.
Wait, what?
And then, wasn't it? Didn't I say you flew to Texas for something? I can't remember, Dan. Dan, how are
Frankly, I don't listen to the shows even as we record them.
you? No.
I'm actually listening to another
honestly,
podcast.
That's the best way to do it. That's the Dan and Eric promise. If you want to get the most out of this, get the least out of it.
That's right. It's our guarantee.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Eric.
Hey, Dan.
How was Dune?
Dune was good. I've only seen Dune twice. I think.
too.
I don't think I've seen it even since we talked last. Had I already seen it two times? The last time we did it. The time.
I don't know.
The time.
You
made me a freak. Yeah, I actually have a story for that because I went to see it. I had in my head, hey, first time, I'm going to be a little nervous. I'm going to be a little excited. I've been building this up. There's a lot of stuff in me built up.
Yeah,
so I was going to go to a regular screening, like a standard movie, to get through that initial viewing. And then I was going to go to the IMAX theater, Dan.
Right.
Because
Yes,
that's
okay.
how they say to watch it. And I
You and I talked
waited.
between those two events
Was that?
about this. Yes, when we last talked, you were planning to
Yeah, and I had seen it. Maybe I hadn't seen it on HBO. I watched it on HBO Max as well as in the theater. So I've seen it twice. And then I went to get tickets this past Thursday, and it's not in IMAX anymore. It's gone. Because of something
Really?
called The Eternals, which took
which
off.
I would still see, but I don't need to see that in IMAX. I have yet to see it in a
not
theater.
available.
I've watched it 2.5 times on HBO Max.
Well,
Kinda
you
skipping
should
around
see it in
a
even a standard theater just for the sound.
Sure.
Sure, COVID. I get it. Right?
No, it's mostly laziness. It's entirely. It's literally right there on my TV. I like that my TV. I like my sound system.
All right. Well, hey, maybe you have it. You know what? To each his own.
Yeah.
Whatever you
But
find.
anyway,
I
it was-
love the
It
bigness
was so
and the
good.
loudness.
The reason why I want to see it on IMAX. So the one thing that reading a bunch of reviews about this. Hey guys,
can't.
don't worry. Eric will drop in the time code where you can skip all this bull and get to the review. But anyway, some of it being shot in IMAX makes me feel like I am missing something. The scenes where, especially the battle scenes, but not even those, where you have the characters in the foreground, but you have these massive ships. And in the, I guess, regular format, HBO Max, there's a bit of panning, horizontal panning that has to happen to bring everything into the frame. But in IMAX, it is all there in the frame and even more overwhelming and impressive. And I
wouldn't know because I didn't get a chance to see it because of
Yeah.
the movie is doing well. I just read something like 50% of the box office came from IMAX, which in the average is 30%. So pull some Eternal screenings out and give us some Dune, right?
Eternal won't last long.
The Eternals was also shot for IMAX specifically too. I have not seen it. I don't have a opinion on the film.
I want to talk about that as well. I mean, I did go and read a couple runs of Eternals because they.
Yeah, which I haven't.
one
So
and came back
you're
and
more read on that than me. I think I read a handful of the original Jack Kirby floppies that I would find in like dollar bins. But you read the Neil Gaiman stuff, so you're probably more.
And they were good. They were good.
Doctor Who.
but I'm not really super excited about it. Anyway, Dune, it lived up to everything I wanted it to be. The casting was, I mean, I'm not saying anything that everyone else hasn't already heard 1,000 times from people who are more, more up to speed about the process of it and know more about the books and everything. But it just makes me think of, there was that YouTube series for a while there, Every Frame a Painting. Did you ever watch those? Two guys, they would break down movies shot by shot, or a scene from a movie shot by shot, and talk about like how it was done and what the meaning is, and like the technical behind it and the artistry. And it really, I think it's called Every Frame a Painting, and that's what this movie really feels like to me. Is every shot, every frame going through, you take a still from it, and it's beautifully composed. It is incredibly realized. It was just such a wonderful film. I'm just so glad that it did everything I wanted it to do and exceeded my expectations, and that pretty quickly right afterwards they got greenlit for the second part. That would have been the most depressing thing to have. It's kind of
depressing that they didn't believe in it enough, like to have already started, so you don't have to wait 3 years. That's just Warner Brothers or AT&T, whoever. Like they have not been making the best decisions about stuff, and they seem
so much more expensive for them to do it this way. You could have done everything together. I actually wonder if Denis Villeneuve filmed anything that would kind of bridge the gap in between.
Yeah, I don't know.
We're here. We've set up all this. Let's get some shots for the next movie. Yeah,
Dan, we're not here. Dan, though, we are not here to talk about Dune. I hate that I am the one saying
you're cutting me off on this. This is
I have to cut you off. No, I don't have to cut you off. We can keep going. That's fine.
We're here to talk.
We can transition right now to an all Dune podcast because I have a lot more to say, but it's full of spoilers for anyone that hasn't read the book that I would like to openly talk about. But we're not going to do that because this isn't the Dune podcast yet. If you want to see the Dune podcast, you should write us and let us in and let us know.
Let us in. Let us into your house. We'll sit in your living room. We'll record
we need a place to stay. These things actually don't pay for themselves. In fact, these things actually don't pay.
No,
they don't pay.
They cost money.
We have no ads, and there's no podcast fare. We don't have a Patreon. The closest thing we have to a Patreon is when the kind readers support me by buying Goblin, a fantasy adventure graphic novel by me and Will Perkins, available now wherever fine books are sold, whether that's Amazon or your local bookstore. Dan, we're not even there to talk about Goblin.
We're not.
We're here to talk about Doctor Who, the new one. Did you watch the...
Eric, I tried.
Oh, this is interesting.
I didn't give it a good effort.
Okay.
I put it on and immediately started doing something else. It lost my attention within the first 15 seconds. I'm so conflicted about this, and I probably said this before. I really like Jodie Whittaker. I like what she did with the character. I don't like the stories. I don't like the rest of the cast. The other companions are not compelling to me. I just don't enjoy this season. These seasons, the Chibnall.
Did it just air or something?
What?
Did it just air?
Yes, I believe
within the last day or so.
The first part just
I've
aired.
been watching them on HBO Max, and after you told me there was one, or you had watched it, or didn't get through it, or whatever, I looked. I was like, oh, I'll watch it, but it's not there, so it's not on HBO Max. I don't know if there's a delay.
No, it'll be on
the other
BBC America if you get that, or something. I think that's the only place. I got it.
Well, the other two specials were on. Like I watched the last two, the one where one was a Dalek one, and then one was whatever.
Yeah, this I think just aired, and I got it through BBC America on my YouTube TV that I have. I use that for my cable TV.
What a fancy pants with his YouTube TV.
It's cheaper. And it helps them target ads to me, which is something I really respect. But anyway, I will sit down and I will watch it, but I gotta tell you, it's gonna feel like a chore to sit down and watch it, and I hate that about New Who. So
that's interesting. This is the kind of these are the hot takes you don't get on the other podcasts. I imagine the other podcasts are just hot takes, right? Is that how it works?
Hot takes. Yeah. So I'm hoping I have high hopes for the next era.
Well, you let us there at home listening, or on the road, or wherever you are, or burying a drifter. I'm not going to make any value judgments. What did you think of the new Doctor Who? And we're hearing from a lot of people, too, because I guess we're near the end of classic Doctor Who episodes where we're going to run out. And people are saying things about the Ninth Doctor being essentially like 35 years old at this point. Our own podcast is going to hit a 7-year anniversary in January, which is scary.
Sickening.
But,
Scary. Sorry, yes.
We're just so you all know, we are sort of figuring out what happens after the last episode passes. But we're not there. Right. We're not invading time yet. We're being invaded by time. Nope. Huh? I'm being told we are.
We are being invaded by time.
We are being invaded by time.
The invasion of time.
Do you have anything else, or should we hit the button and
let's just get into this one? I am very interested to see what you're going to think about this one.
Interesting. All right, let's hit the button.
I'm usually not. Usually I don't give a shit what you think about it, but this time I actually want to hear.
I want to hear all about the timeless child. All right.
Oh, God. Let's find the button and get into this.
I sent the invaders back to their own planet. Of course, I'll need the Matrix, the jury rig, a time loop, but that's...
But how have we won? We fought no one but a few guards.
Well, it can't always be like the relief of Mafeking.
Right.
Don't shout it, and don't shout. Have you ever thought of taking it up seriously?
Taking what up seriously?
Well, killing people. A little practice, you'd become quite proficient.
What does...
Come on.
Excuse me, what... Do you know what... What does proficient mean?
Oh, Doctor!
Castellan, is the Chancellor still in his office?
Yes, sir.
Good. Castellan. As Castellan, you are responsible for security on Gallifrey in general, for my safety in particular. Are you not, Castellan?
That is so, Excellency.
Castellan, I don't think you're very good at it. That's just my opinion. I'm a president. Still, every oligarchy gets the Castellan it deserves, eh, Castellan? Yes, well, never mind. Just clear up the mess when you've got a moment.
Is it over?
Yes. It's been a long, hard road, but at last, the future of Gallifrey is assured. What are you looking for?
This is The Invasion of Time. This is the 6th and final serial of season number 15. Lucky number 15. Put her to bed, they would say, in 1978. This was written by David Agnew, which is not a real person. To my knowledge, I think it is a fake name that was a combination of Graham William and Anthony Reed. Interesting. I think that's
see how
true.
They got there.
I think that's true. I don't know the details to why there's a fake name and versus just the real names. Maybe they weren't allowed to do it because of... Who knows? Doesn't matter. Not important. Gerald Blake of the Bloomin' Blakes, famous for their onion, until those sons of bitches down at the that Australian steakhouse Outback were like, let's get this onion's tasty, and then they stole the recipe.
Yeah.
Leaving old Gerald Blake sort of poor and sort of disillusioned by capitalism, and spent his waning years writing Doctor Who's, or directing Doctor Who's. Rather quick on that one. Dan, what did you... Oh, we have to tell you what it's about.
Tell me what it's about, Eric,
the Doctor and Leela... the Doctor begins some shenanigans with some strange, mysterious alien creatures, and then returns to Gallifrey, where he claims his rightful place as the president, and seems to be in cahoots with this invading force, and turns his back on his own people, and turns his back on Leela, and things seem really, really bad. But they're not. Dan, what did you think of The Invasion of Time? Dan?
Eric, I enjoyed most of this story. Okay. I honestly did. It was too long. The the reveal that the people pulling the strings all along with Sontarans. I don't really particularly like the Sontarans.
They're also a slow-talking enemy. Anytime you get one of those slow-talking enemies, it makes scenes drag out a little longer.
Slow-walking, too. We got lots of shots walking down corridors, just ambling down corridors. But overall, I'm a guy who loves lore. I love the...
Yeah, this is like all your favorite
It's all
hits.
that stuff.
You got the Rassilon. Every other line is mentioning Rassilon.
We got the Rassilons. We got back on Gallifrey. We see some new stuff that we never seen before. Outside the Citadel, into the wastes outside. The people that were exiled out there. We got shiny, shimmery alien creatures. We got mind control. We got a doctor that's acting all crazy in the
really
head.
Nuts. Really nuts.
In a way that was fun and exciting. I didn't know where he was going with it, but you could be assured they had a plan the whole time. You got a Leela who's doing all her Leela things like normal. I think she was great. We got a good canine here. I didn't know, because we try not to do any research, also because it's easier not to, that this was the farewell for Leela and Canine Mark 1.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. But then
fun.
I think a listener wrote us an email, and I saw the subject line. I think it said something about goodbye to Leela.
Yeah,
like,
that came in after I saw this. I know that you were pressed for time and kind of just ran.
Yeah, I literally
ran
watched
these
it when I do my thing minutes ago.
So, but yeah, I think that was a lot of fun. It was just, the Centaurans of all people. Okay, I guess, sure. Taking down the barrier and making a hole in the thing, and so they can come in and that was fine. But everything else was super fun. Even we got some listener feedback about this. Good points. We get to see the inside of the TARDIS, but most of it's just
it's like a YMCA or like a
it's like the back areas of the BBC. It's just hallways in the BBC.
Yeah,
it's like loading docks and whatnot.
Like, this is our air conditioning and heating room. We're gonna use it. Let's shoot a whole scene here.
Yeah, we'll set up a gallery in here. It'll be fine. Okay,
if you're hearing this right now, you are the one that is missing.
Sorry, that took me a second. Yeah, so we got a whole lot of that. We got to see the TARDIS swimming pool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Got to swim in Leela. That's kind of fun with a whole bunch of plastic. Eric, that's my top line about this thing. What did you think about it?
Dan, I actually really liked it. I thought there was a lot to like. I think you're right in saying it was too long. Like, it could have easily been 5 parts. 4 is probably a little... I didn't mind the way that it had, like, the Centauran reveal, because I felt like it all sort of built to that. Like, you could have easily lost the wicked, evil shower curtain people. Yes. And then once they were humans, they were the worst. Like, you didn't need them at all. One of them looked like Corey Feldman. Not that should be a mark in either direction.
Not a pro or a con, really.
But I did like I thought, even for 6 episodes, like, all of the intrigue and, like, the way that they did the story beats and stuff, you didn't really know what the Doctor was doing or what his plan was, and he's just acting nuts, and you don't know, like, is that just Tom Baker, like, on pills? Or is this, like, part of the stories? Like, it was like...
A little both.
And I felt like even the way it starts, where he goes and talks to the aliens, the shower curtain people, and some other weeble wobble form. Yeah, I was like, did we, like, I was trying to remember the episode before. Did it end with that scene? Like, I couldn't remember why he was even there. So you're sort of, like, thrown in this weird, unsteady thing. He's coming out and he's telling her, like, have K9, which, K9 yell at you, and then she's, because they're listening, but they would have heard that anyway. But then he says later, you can't hear into the TARDIS because that's like a safe zone too. So I'm not sure. It's fine.
Right. Yeah, that is strange.
Leela's eyes are striking. I like the blue eyes on her was like, I don't think I ever even realized her eyes were as blue as they are until some of those close-ups in the beginning.
There's something in this one with the filming. I don't know what it was, or maybe it's the copy that we
yeah,
have
it looked
to.
Different, like more like had an HD
detail,
transfer or something.
I could see like freckles on Leela's face that I didn't know were there before. Same with Tom Baker too. Like
totally, that was my same thing. Like that was like but I never really saw her eyes in that detail and everything pop, but it looked like it was like they cleaned up a print or something, or like did a new scan. I don't know if they did. Doctor gets an Amber Alert. Dan,
they had an Amber
Doctor
Alert.
Gets an Amber Alert. No, I liked it. I thought. Like, even introducing, like, Rodan, she was a cool character, and she was, like, a Gallifreyan, and I don't remember her, maybe she is in the future stories, but that was, like, a good opportunity. Even, like, the end, to jump to the end, like, Leela's living on Gallifrey, and she's been on Gallifrey this whole time, and we've gone to Gallifrey multiple times. Have we ever seen her again? Who knows? It was funny. I felt like it was absurd at times. You know, it seemed like Tom Baker was having a lot of fun, especially with his eyes. He was doing a lot of talk low and yell routine, especially in the beginning. But I liked it. I mean, there was a lot of comedy elements, maybe a little too much, but I kind of like that stuff. Like, there was like a Marx Brothers quality to some of Tom Baker's work where he would be like, you know, you lead, and the guy's like, no, you follow me. Like, there was like a lot of like silly stuff like that. It was good.
Yeah. What you said earlier, the way that the story starts, kind of almost the story's already in progress, and we're just
like you're getting thrown into this
that.
thing. I thought that was good.
Yeah, it was very cool. So, like, I couldn't quite follow what was going on with the contract that he's signing and who's going to retain control of what, and like who are these people he's talking to. So, it was really fun to set it up that way.
Right. That part was a little strange too. Like, they go through all this contract stuff.
Yeah.
And then you're like, is this just like meta stuff? Like an angry writer is like talking about like the BBC or like, you don't know what, because there's like all this weird contract stuff, and I don't read a contract, or I never sign anything I don't read. And then later they're cutting deals with other people and there's no paperwork.
Yeah.
It's not like they're like obsessed with detail or they need a contract. But you mentioned the pool, so we get the TARDIS pool. This is 2 episodes or 2 stories in a row where there's been inflatables. For last one with John Pertwee, Sarah Jane had inflatables in her hand, and we got to see the pool.
Oh, yeah,
this one with the inflatables in use.
That's right.
Yeah,
it's a real theme we got here. Good here.
K9 calling this computer a very stupid machine. There was like a lot of, I thought, funny lines that didn't take it so seriously, and maybe that undercuts a bit of the gravity of like, oh, the Sontarans are bad, but I like the
just
comedy.
Never take them as a. I don't know.
Why were they in a kid's
They never
art
strike me as like a great enemy to begin with.
No, and they got that dumb thing in the back. It's like, just cover it. Like, but why were they in a kid's painting studio at one point? Like right before they get Rodan, they go to this thing and there's like chairs that are for a child, and then it looks like there's like finger paints on the wall, and it's like, is this where they keep the kids for people that are working at the BBC? I don't know.
That was the
art wing,
like power substation or something like that. But
it was right wherever Rodan was. They see her.
Oh yes,
they see her after, but like the hallway outside has these like tiny chairs.
You're right,
and art on the wall from a child.
Yes,
and the evil shower curtains. All right.
I mean, Rodan needs some time off. She's got to decompress. She's directing interstellar traffic and monitoring things.
Yeah, and she had that cool. I liked the characterization on her character too, where she's like, I don't care what anyone else is doing, and she's like, she did her own thing. I thought it seemed like they were building her to be someone in the future. It doesn't
seem like they do, but that's
right. They don't.
Bravo for writing a great character like that, and the actress for doing it, and the interaction between setting her up with Leela, the two of them. I thought there was some fun physicality there. Rodan has the force field in front of the door, and Leela's like pantomiming not being able to get through.
Yeah.
There's one moment where she's like kind of leaning up against it. They drop the force field, and she comes tumbling into the room. Like, it was just like nice things.
If you could rewrite it too, like Leela and Rodan should have ended up together, right? That's who she would have.
Yeah.
Instead of hooking her up with that guy. That's the other thing. Like, they don't do it to every companion, but it's always like they got to marry her off to like, it's like either a king of something, and then all of a sudden she's spending more time with Rodan, but then also the older like warlord or whatever, like the when she's out there, and then all of a sudden, like the last episode, I think she's now with this guy, and then they're in love, and then she's staying with him. I didn't feel like they had any chemistry at all. I guess one scene kind of, but I thought that was like, at first I was like, oh, they're gonna have her live with those Gallifreyans that were living outside.
Yeah. That would have made a lot more sense, but no, somehow, and I liked Andred. I think the character was fine.
Yeah, he was cool. He was fine.
He had a lot to do. He had a lot of an arc with.
Yeah, she should have been with Rodan. I think that was clear.
Yeah, it just did. It didn't make a whole lot of sense.
It wouldn't have got past the censors. That's the problem.
It would have been so much more fun with Rodan instead. Yeah.
Doctor talking to the audience. What do you think about that? Although when they first do it, they justify it kind of that he's crazy and he's talking to his old teacher who's not in the room.
Right.
And then you're like, oh, okay, I guess he's still kind of crazy. But then at the end, he does it again, right? Like
at the very end, he does a complete look to camera smirk thing that I never like that. I feel like he's done that a couple of times, maybe. It doesn't do it for me, but whatever. Maybe the kids liked it whenever it aired. But to me, that doesn't really do much of anything. So we have the whole...
Well, you want to go over the whole story, too? Like,
we can go through some beat by beat. I don't want to go beat by beat.
Well, I want to talk about it just high level, because you're going to be able to fill my brain in that's forgotten stuff.
You watched
but No, from the previous ones. So I think this is a continuation as far as Gallifrey goes from the Deadly Assassin, right?
Yes, sir.
Is that when he was determined to be the rightful heir to Rassilon? Because that part I couldn't...
That's when he became president but ran away, basically.
That was the Deadly Assassin and not another one?
I believe so.
Okay, so he's made president. He said, yeah, but I'm going to split, and when I come back, I'm president.
It's another one of those things where, like, we watched Deadly Assassin, 3 years ago?
A long
time
ago.
It was a really long time ago. So, I didn't go back and reread any of that because I'm lazy and we don't get paid.
Okay, but, so that makes sense. And then, do we ever learn how he gets connected with these aliens? The Vandals? Is it the Vandals? Vardens. Were the Vardens in the previous one, which was Underworld?
I don't think so. This? No, I think it seems to me like the way that it was explained, sort of, was that he kind of came across this plot and got himself involved in order to thwart it, but at the same time make them think that he was playing along. Totally unclear to me. Maybe it is more clear in the episode if I were to watch it again, but it didn't seem like that was really set up as like any real history there. And it even seemed like no one else really knew who they were as well, who the Vardens were, because they were all, first of all, they were all surprised they were actually ended up being humans. How that works, I have no idea. That they didn't understand, or they came to the realization of how they like travel along energy wavelengths and can even read minds. Like, this was all new to the Time Lords.
They seem
so
super
think they know
powerful.
So.
Right, they seem like a super powerful thing that can go across any wavelength, and that's why he's got to turn the monitor off, because they can pop up at the end of it. And then he, in addition to the mind reading, and then he's like, he outsmarts them and he sends them back to their home planet, and he's like, I'll just put him in a time loop.
Yeah,
to trap, but he never does, because then the Sontarans show up right away, and then
he did.
Did he actually do it? I don't remember him actually doing it. I remember him saying he was going to do it, and then the Sontarans were there.
Right.
I don't remember him. Maybe he said it, and I was just
maybe they're
not
coming
paying
back.
attention.
We don't know.
It feels like they were just like, oh, we're done with them. You don't even need to think about them anymore, because now the Sontarans are there.
Strange. Like, they are incredibly powerful, like you said, being able to like read minds and travel across energy and appear anywhere, but they ended up being humans.
Yes, and they were humans and subjugated in some fashion by the Sontarans. But they seem...
How?
I don't know.
How does that work? How do they... Are they humans from this far future? Would they have this power?
I don't think they're humans from Earth. They're humanoid.
Sure.
Right?
Well, they're humans, like, maybe, yes, in the diaspora across the galaxy somewhere. They're not necessarily
What'd you say they were
Earth.
called? The Vardans, right?
Vardans.
And they, I imagine, have been in probably comics or something, right? I don't remember them being in the show ever before.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. They've done, so they've apparently been in some audio.
Yeah, I just looked it up. It looks like
it's
it's the only thing is this one.
Yeah, just this.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, they seem like super powerful, especially with the mind reading, and that he has got to build a whole lead room, and then the Time Lords are super, readable. I guess their brains are very easily. They went through that whole test process of like how he determined that his brain was easy to read, and my eyes started glazing over. Do you know what I'm talking about when he's hanging out with his old teacher?
Yeah, with Burris.
I like some of the old teacher stuff. Some of it went out a little too long.
But
and
I
a little
it.
low energy.
But you could also not really tell, was he actually helping the Doctor? Did he trust the Doctor? Was he going to...
Unclear.
Right,
because
that's why
he gives him the key twice. He gives him like 2 fake keys.
Yeah.
Before he gets the real key, and then he makes the gun.
Oh, geez. Yeah, the
Right?
big space
The big space
rifle
key and the
was-
space gun.
Oof.
And
yeah,
he,
that was...
he smokes fools. Like, this doctor's
Yes.
killing people. He takes them out.
So did K9. I mean, there were times K9's just running around lasering people,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, well, he's probably just stunning them. It's
That's
fine.
what I was
Until one
thinking.
part when he actually says that he's going to stun someone. So I'm assuming all the other times he's
It's
just
just dead.
wasting fools. So that was kind of crazy. I mean, even K9, I think, pulled a gun on Leela at first as well. So, yeah. It was
He
a
does.
little
He
strange.
pulls a gun on Leela, but that's part of their plan, which is still
Yeah.
not... It's just confused, like a little bit strange, that whole...
Yes.
I felt the whole scene where he's telling her, tell K9... Because she believes him.
Oh, yes.
But they portray it that she believes him because he can't do wrong. Not that she was sort of let in the thing... I don't know. I don't know why they
No,
had
she
that
just
opening
blindly
scene
trusted him
where...
no matter what. She didn't know what was going on either.
Right. I don't
It's
know
not
why
she
they
was
had
let
that
in.
scene.
Yeah.
was
So
kinda
what did
weird.
you think of the, so there's the, coming back to Gallifrey, there's
Yep.
the political, quote-unquote intrigue, because there really wasn't much intrigue. There was just the Castellan who's a jerk, which I guess that is the job of a Castellan,
Yep.
is to just be a jerk every
Castellan.
time. So you got that guy being, this insufferable toady to whomever's in power, whichever way the wind's going to blow. So for a Time Lord, he seems like a real, I don't know.
So I thought he was a perfect for that type of person.
Totally was,
Little.
but if I can vaguely remember, watching
Deadly Assassin?
Deadly Assassin. I was gonna say Assassination of a Time Lord. Oh no, Barusa.
He's in that too, right? I remember him being in the doctor, like when the doctor's sprawled out on the table. He's
Yeah.
the guy I think that's talking.
Oh, okay.
To him.
I didn't know if it was the same actor, but it's that same character though. That same idea that that guy, that's the guy who's really gonna screw with you.
But you
anyway,
mentioned
it
before,
was
like
fine.
not being able to get a good read on him because, like, he doesn't always help. Like we
Right.
talked about the key, and I guess he's trying to
Barusa,
prevent
yes.
the gun from being built because the gun can destroy anything. Right? He talks about
Seemingly,
like I
it's
guess
got that powered by the key.
do you
so,
just
yeah.
think what you want? Like when he shot the Sontaran.
Mm-hmm.
Did it kill all of the Sontarans that were there? Because there's
Ooh.
warships above.
Ooh, I don't know.
Or did he just kill one guy? Because the way he talks about the gun, I would think it's like where you can shoot a planet, destroy the planet, or like, I don't know. I thought that was a little strange. The end I felt was the weakest part. Because it was like you had this big build up, and then all of a sudden he goes with this gun that we're supposed to be afraid of.
Right.
And he shoots the guy, and then it turns back into the key, but he doesn't remember any of it, which is funny because I just watched Lock and Key with my kids for season 2, and there's a lot of not remembering the magic when you're using Ender's Keys. But
do you want to do a Lock and Key podcast?
Oh, sure.
'Cause I just watched it too.
but you know what I'm saying? So, like,
Yeah.
was it just one killed? Is there still a fleet above, ready for
Did he commit
invasion?
genocide and wipe out all Sontarans across the galaxy? No, I mean, I don't know. It wasn't explained, but because I don't think it's a problem with these episodes when they end up being, it's paradoxical. They're too many parts, so they're slow, but then they also end up just wrapping things too conveniently or neatly or glossing over yada 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 details. So it has kind of the worst of both worlds, where there's just like a little bit too much padding, too many ideas going on, and that just causes them to not be able to focus on the main idea and wrap things up satisfactorily. So like, while it was nice to be able to see outside the Citadel and see all the exiled Time Lords and kind of get to experience that world a little bit, did it need to be there?
Well, I think
Probably
I just
not.
looked up what, like on TARDIS Wikia,
Sure.
what the DMAT gun is.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually doesn't kill you. It erases you from time. So maybe
neat.
by killing this leader, then therefore the people never would have come. Kind
Ah.
of deal.
Was that explained?
It was not
in the
explained, but I
story
think
and
maybe
I just
that's-
kind of missed it.
Maybe that's what happened then. He kills him, and therefore this guy doesn't exist.
And never led them to it, and
That's
Yeah,
my guess. I could be way wrong.
Sure.
I'm sure the angry emails and
also,
tweets are
like,
already being sent.
Why did the Doctor forget all of this as well? Like,
Right,
I
and
guess
then he says, like,
could be
that's
part
like
of
the
that?
gift of... like, Rassilon knew this weapon is so powerful, if it was
powerful.
ever used, this is what also bothered me. Because it would be like, okay, if it's ever used, it makes you forget. But the Doctor uses it first on just some rando. Remember? There's just like, some guy in there and he shoots him and then he goes... Like, he should never have shot him. It should have been like, you lose your memory.
It's a one-shot
the one
thing,
time
yeah.
you use it. Because otherwise, how does it know when you're done?
Because it has the key of Rassilon. It knows.
All right.
It knows when it's
That's
finished.
fine.
It's doing its duties.
And then we get the K9 Mark II tease.
Crate coming out there. Yeah. I mean...
I don't know. What did you... But, like... We have a lot going on. But I do feel like they did a good job... of balancing all of the locations and all the characters, because it's really a lot of characters. Because we've got not only Leela and the Doctor, obviously, but you have... You're going to have to give me these names, dude.
Sure.
You
got Barusa, the teacher,
Chancellor,
you got Kellner, you got
the Chancellor, you've got the
Andred.
good cop, you've got the head of the cops that's bad, but then you also have that whole army of sort of expatriates that have left.
And Nesbin. And, yes, yeah.
But you've got all those wildings beyond the wall, hanging out. Then you have your two bad guys, like two races of bad guys, and you're balancing all of that out with like this weird plot where the Doctor's pretending to be an evil dictator. So it's a lot.
It really was... No, I agree. It really was a lot. And it was a lot...
a lot of walking in circles.
As successful as it was because of Tom Baker. Like, he really... This couldn't have been anyone else, I don't think. It wouldn't have been as effective. Just the way that he's able to kind of play that madness and kind of... even though you're not sure what's going on, and not just because he's the Doctor, he kind of just gives these kind of hints that everything's going to be okay and he has a plan. Like, by the time he started saying that he needed to have that room constructed for his suites as the president, and that that it was going to be all lead. Once he said that, it's like, oh, okay. So all along he's been trying to fight this thing, and he has a plan, and we're going to get to it. And once that was revealed, then everything kind of...
He's a little reckless, like telling them to go after Leela. Like, he doesn't know they're not going to shoot her.
That's true.
Really.
So he was trying to get Leela out of the Citadel to keep her safe, I'm presuming?
I guess because he knew that the invasion was coming.
But how could he really be sure that was going to be sufficient to keep her safe? Like,
because he knew she could handle her own. And in her credit,
but
like,
I mean,
she's
like
throwing knives. Like, this is like they let her run wild with the
with the bow and arrow, with the knives,
Huntress angle, which was cool. I like her. This was one of my favorite. I know you don't, and you said you liked her in this, so that goes to show how far she's come. This was like the kind of story I feel like that she could have a lot of fun with, and I feel like she did. And even her and the Doctor had some good kind of back and forth sort of things. I liked the way that they were sort of messing with each other. I thought it worked.
I agree. I think,
and she had one of the best eye rolls that I've ever seen when that guy, the human that used to be a shower curtain. Yep. When he like disappears, and then she's like, "Where's that guy?" And the guy's like, "Oh, he disappeared," and her eyes just roll right in the back of her head. It was great.
This was, I think, probably the best Leela story from my point of view, anyway. Unfortunately, it was the last one.
Yeah, she's gone.
And to go out on the line, "I'll miss you too, Savage."
Yeah, that was not cool.
I really hated that.
That was not.
It was just cool. Salt in the wound.
Yeah.
It was not necessary.
I would agree with that. That was a little strange line.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it was supposed to be cute, and maybe it was taken that way, but I don't know. I don't know. Were there any other interesting things, like little tidbits?
Yeah, well, I'll say one thing is interesting. When the good cop, for no reason at all, just said, "If I had a dog like you in my unit, I'd make you sergeant." And then I was just remembering, like, it's Sergeant Dog this fall on ABC Family. Like,
boom.
It was just there was a lot of those lines, which were just sort of like these comedy things that were just in there, because that didn't need to be in there. Or like the Doctor handshaking the Centauran that was getting eaten by the plant. Like, there was lots of these like straight comedy beats for fun.
I actually really like the Centauran being eaten by the plant. It reminded me of like Audrey 2 from
Little
Little Shop of Horrors.
Totally.
That was a lot of fun.
But I'm surprised though with Leela, to stick with Leela. She's like, we've been to Gallifrey.
Yeah.
multiple times, and she's never. I got to look it up. She must be in future classic Who's, but we've covered so many now. I don't remember her with another Doctor.
No, I don't think she's ever come back or been. Maybe she's. I feel like maybe she's been referenced once.
She must be referenced on New Who with all of the stuff constantly about Gallifrey. They never.
Maybe.
There's never like a one-off, like, oh, I have a friend.
Well, again,
here.
it's the problem of seeing these out of order and
Right.
having seen so much New Who without knowing this part. So I, obviously wasn't on the lookout for it, but I don't know. There are a lot of like small things in here that I thought were just kind of odd, like like you just said with Andred, with it making a dog like K9 the lieutenant. Frankly, Andred and K9 had more chemistry than Leela and Andred did, so I kind of get that. But like the Doctor makes a tinfoil helmet for Andred to help shield his brain,
which
I think
did
was
not
kinda
fit
cute.
him.
No,
It was a little too small. It was like a little boy's helmet. And then he's like in his like white
pirate shirt.
outfit.
It was a pirate shirt.
Yeah, it was like the puffy shirt, exactly.
It was a puffy shirt. So we got that. We got the Doctor playing hopscotch down the hallways. Just fully
Just
playing
acting
up
like a
crazy.
weirdo. Just a
Yeah.
straight Tom Baker weirdo, spending a lot of time talking about jelly babies. Jelly
Yeah.
babies is how he identifies who's cool and who's not.
Yep. Andrew liked the jelly baby,
Yeah.
so that's cool. I didn't get the whole. There's nothing more useless than a lock
then
with
the
a voice.
lock with a
print.
voice thing. Yeah, because he goes through this thing and he's like, could it be hand scan? He's like, no. But he just says no. Could it be retinal? No. But he doesn't try these things.
No.
He just says no, and they're off the table. And then he goes, it's got to be a voice because he liked to talk. And then he says it, and it doesn't work. And then he remembers, he's like, he hates voice. Like, I don't know.
He thinks that voice. Like, yes, this guy
Right.
said that voice print locks are useless. Therefore, it must be a voice print lock.
Right. And then he says that, and then you hear a click, but it doesn't open. And then he says it louder, and it does open. But yeah, I didn't understand what it means. Like,
Why it was there? Why it took
there.
so long to get to it? Like,
Yeah.
it didn't do anything for us. Just like, oh, you found the switch.
It was just an
Cool.
extra door to
Yeah.
get out for a lot of those scenes where it was like, you better put that
needed to
thing
be
back
seen.
before the person opens the door.
Exactly.
Maybe I didn't like this as much as I thought. Like when I start to think about some of the
happens.
stuff, like that was actually kind of dumb. Oh, it's the sundial when he goes by the sundial on the
cute.
TARDIS and it says that it's running slow or whatever.
I
The clock's slow.
really
That was
enjoyed
funny.
that one. I actually laughed.
I liked all the stuff in the TARDIS. I feel like
Yeah.
we never spent enough time there, and it's so weird that there's a pool and like deck
gardens.
chairs and like it's
Yeah.
just like a resort. It's very strange.
It would have been better if they had the time, money, budget to do more of that instead of just
The
running
same
around.
shot, yeah.
Yeah, that which was kind. I mean, they made it serve the plot. Like they're going in circles, the whole thing. Like it's just the way the TARDIS works. Like okay, that's fine. But like those particular, like it looked just like a loading dock. Like why that?
Right.
Why not? Anyway,
Did you
It's
like the
fine.
Santaran tripping? when
Oh,
he,
yeah.
when he ran.
Goes
They
running
just
and trips
let
over
it
the
in.
chair and then
let
gets-
it go.
yeah.
It keeps
fine.
keep it in the shot. Yeah,
you
I
only have
thought-
time to do this once, people. Get into it. Yeah, that
It was good
fine.
though. I liked it. I don't think I have much more to even
The
add. on it.
Santaran makeup, though.
Oh, it was terrible. And
Awful.
the eye holes in
The
the,
eye- that's the part
helmet
I mean.
did not line up for the eyes. So that poor
The eyes
actor
don't line up. He has
was-
to wear that black eye
Ugh.
makeup and black lipstick. So obviously a goth.
Yeah.
Leader of
The
the
Santarans are weird, and when you do see the eye through the eye hole, it's unnerving.
It doesn't look
It just
right.
doesn't look right, and I didn't like it. And the makeup was
But not in a creepy way. It just
frightening.
doesn't look right.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
was not cool. I don't love them. I feel like in like short controlled bursts, I do like them. Like the Santaran experiment, I think the Tom Baker one. It's like a 2-parter.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what I like. I like my Santarans quick and out the door. I don't want them for too long because they are slow talkers. We talked about that, and it's like,
slow.
enough, please.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Look at my notes
I
here.
don't know. I went through all my notes too, and I feel like We covered it
we
all.
got it.
Talked
That
about
was
flotation devices.
We
Talked
got
about
the Matrix. We didn't. I mean,
Yeah, we didn't
the-
talk about
the Doctor
the
goes,
Matrix.
He gets his. He assumes the presidency. There's the whole
Yep.
ascension ceremony that he has to go through. He
very
gets the
long
sash.
ceremony with lots of
Yes.
tapping on the ground
Yep.
multiple times, and here's your sash.
Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Yeah.
Here's your sash. Here's your rod. Here's your whatever. You get. He doesn't get the key, but that's the point. So that was weird at the beginning. It's like he's like,
Yeah.
and here's the key, and it's an empty hand, and didn't know what that was about.
And they wanted the key really bad. The
Yes.
shower curtain people. Why?
Well, the Suntarans really did, but yeah.
Well, right, I guess the Suntarans, but they were trying to make sure, like, when are you going to find the key? When are you going to find the key? They wanted it just so that they could build this gun, or just to have complete time power.
I thought it was to have the complete powers of the Time Lords.
Right. And the
That's
key,
all.
because no one knows what the key does. It just, they're aware of it,
Right.
but it's like this weird thing that no one's ever seen, and the chancellors have it, and the presidents have never even. But it's fine. Not since
It seems like a
Rassilon
weird
has anyone
system.
held the key. What do you think about
It
that?
seems like a weird system for the. I get the president shouldn't have all the powers, so you hold back one item, but it's just the chancellor has it, and he's just hanging on to it.
Right.
Like it seems like a weird system. I don't know. The whole Black Star thing, that's where the power of Gallifrey comes from, right? That's how they created the time vortex.
I think so.
That's
I
the
remember
black
it being
hole
like
that they
a
have
dying
there.
star, a collapsing
Right.
star, or something.
That's
That
what I
was-
assumed they were referring to. They kept calling it Black Star throughout.
Yeah.
So I was just making sure that was the case because Soundgarden's Black Hole Sun just kept running through my head every time they said it. But it's
Interesting.
not quite the same thing. Yeah, that's it. And it ends with a look to camera. So Eric, 1, 2, 3, look to camera, smile. All right, cool.
Hi guys.
So that's what we thought of this story. But
Yeah, what do people think? I'm gonna say
what did other people think?
my guess.
Yeah.
More people like this story. I would say this is probably a more well-received story than some of the other ones we've done.
Well, let's find out, shall
Like the gunfighters.
we?
More people are gonna like this than like the gunfighters.
Okay. All right. I think that's going to be pretty easy.
That's a low
not
bar.
that- pretty low bar. Okay. Sorry, you might have to edit here because I...
Well, while you're doing that, there's no reason to edit. I want an easy week, Dan. While Dan is getting the viewer mail, viewer feedback, you at home should be watching our last Hartnell story, which is called The War Machines, which is a 4-parter. I don't know what it's about. Probably machines of war, or war will be involved. But we finally get to say goodbye to Hartnell. So make sure you watch that, because by the time this goes up in 3 weeks, we're going to have that one. Dan still seems to be looking, and that's why I would ask you, please consider going to realmofgoblin.com. You can watch a trailer. You can read the first 2 chapters if you're not sure. And there's a number of order links for you to choose from. And you can download the RPG, the role-playing game, if you like Dungeons & Dragons 5e like Dan does. Download that PDF and just go to town. Dan, you can't still be looking. Santarin.
Okay, so what did we see on the alternative machine? Sorry, new computer, who dis? Trying to figure out where all my tweets went. Okay, so thank you everyone who responded to us on Twitter at TUDW Show. We asked you what you thought about this one. We got a bunch of good responses. Our friend Tom Tarpey says, I remember always being surprised by the Sontaran reveal. I'm a huge TARDIS fan, and I love that they spent so much time in it, even though they cheaped out and used random rooms around the BBC instead of making real sets. Quote, I'll miss you too, Savage. I'm not crying, you're crying.
Now, hold on.
That didn't make me cry.
Yes. As far as the reveal goes, I don't remember if you said you were completely shocked. I had it spoiled, unfortunately, because when I was watching the thing or whatever, I saw it in the thumbnail, so I sort of knew at some point Sontarans were coming. But did you know?
Yes. I saw the same thumbnail. I didn't know that that's how they were going to come into this. So when it happened, I wasn't shocked, but I didn't see it coming. I didn't.
Yeah, and
really
I
think
feel
about
like there's no reason for you to think they would come. Like there's no
Right.
hint of it or anything. Like they sort of do come
no.
out of left field, and you're like, what? Okay.
Still doesn't make a lot. Whatever.
Doesn't make a lot of sense. It's
is
fine.
what they want.
Good. Continue that email.
So thank you for that one. Next, Paul Paranoid says, this is a tricky one, Deadly Assassin 2 or Return to Gallifrey. Once again, we get to visit the Doctor's homeworld, and it's not bad. It's reassuringly similar to last time. It's just a little undisciplined and can't hope to have the same sense of gravitas as Assassin.
Yeah, not anywhere near as good as Assassin. And Assassin, we got to go into the Matrix, and I was so excited that we were going to go into the Matrix in this one and have weird psychedelia with clowns running around in a weird desert. But we didn't get any of that.
None of that. We just got to see it all play across his face instead. Paul continues to say, the premise isn't a bad idea. The Doctor has to pretend to betray Gallifrey to reveal the real threat, the dullard Centauran. Not really seeming qualified to take on the Time Lords, but then again, who is? However, the reveal at the end of Part 4 was fantastic to a kid in 1978. Again, this is a kid's
that's
show.
the Centauran.
Got to remember that.
If you were into the Centaurans, you'd be psyched.
Yep. However, while having its moments, it's sluggish and awkward, with this story marking the start of a slide into a tendency to be over-reliant on the show's own lore, locking out the casual viewer, rewarding the dedicated fans instead of being generally entertaining in its own right. Eric, what do you think about that? The fact that the show can, at times, and according to Paul here, will, from this point, start relying on the lore? As opposed to being kind of this all-inclusive thing for fans.
As long as the story's good, I'm happy. I understand where they're coming from with that critique.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel to me like it was overly. I guess it was very. Did you feel like it's just all fan service?
Oh no, I don't.
All fan service or just all stuff that you're supposed to know, and they're not going to bother explaining it or whatever.
Or that you're missing a significant part of the story or experience.
Like if I knew nothing of Rassilon, right, and I know nothing of, I did not see Deadly Assassin.
Sure. Or let's say maybe it was 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, I feel like you would still.
There was enough here.
There was enough there. I mean, they're like, you're the president now,
need.
and then this gun's important. But even us knowing all that stuff, they didn't explain a lot anyway. So they're not really relying on lore. Per se, as they're relying on just getting it done in time.
Yeah, that's
I don't know. What do you
think? Feels like for a lot of this.
What do you think of that thing that I fumbled through?
No, I kind of feel the same way. I like the lore. I think a show, not necessarily this one, but I think a show can suffer from becoming inaccessible. But I don't think that doesn't.
But I'll jump onto that too. Like sometimes when shows become inaccessible is when I like them the most.
Because you're on the inside.
Season 2 of Twin Peaks, when it would get nuts with Black Lodge, White Lodge, deep into the thing. Like, I don't care that that's turning off new viewer. Like,
absolutely,
you're already on. So sometimes I do like to get lost in the minutia of the mythology. Sometimes that could be fun.
That is 100% my jam. So thanks for that, Paul. Jay Bomanis says, the serial isn't my favorite, but I love the costumes and scenery. And it does carry reasonably well through 6 episodes. The recipe for success, in my opinion, for 6 episodes is a big character reveal or some scene change midway through, which this does. Like it, don't love it.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate to what I feel. I think they did a good job with the 6 episodes and making it flow, but it's not the greatest story in the world.
And some things
far from the worst.
Trying to tie things up too quick. One more tweet from Paul tying this all up. Note the first appearance of a female Time Lord. Hard for us to know that, seeing things out of order, so I didn't know that was necessarily the case. So the first appearance of female Time Lord, I'm assuming Rodan. The outer lands of Gallifrey and the most we've ever seen of the interior of the TARDIS. What a horrible disappointment that was. How could they not find any location better? A night shoot in the main quarters of BBC Centre, maybe. Same here. Wish they'd spent more time on that. Matthew Pittard says, this and Deadly Assassin to me are joined to the hip on how they portray Time Lord society as almost timid and arrogant and not a superpower at all. Yeah,
they definitely take they're like this aristocratic class of people that are so obsessed with what's, ritual and, all of that stuff seemed like a heavy commentary on how absurd that stuff is.
Definitely.
You have that scene with like those 2 guys going back and forth about when are you going to get your regeneration or whatever. That's like, that has no point other than to just be like, these people are garbage. which I like that they're treating them like that and not some kind of like super.
But it does
force.
kind of undercut the whole Time Lord power. Yeah, it is. It's interesting, but it's strange. The World Enough in Time podcast says too long and lots of padding, but the Doctor's secret plans are intriguing. Also notable for the character of Rodan, an obvious prototype version of Romana. Who
Yeah,
of
I
course
could see
joins
a
the
lot of,
Doctor in
like-
the very next
Yes.
story.
Yes, I could see some Romana energy on that.
Heck yeah, she would have made a great companion, Rodan. The two of them working in the TARDIS to try to do their who's who what's its and whatever, and she's trying to figure things out. That was fun. I really did enjoy that. Misfit Scully says, "Damn, I ran out shopping and forgot to rewatch or even think of anything about the story. While I wait in queue to be." Oh, while I wait in the queue, all I'll say is Leela could have done better. I will prepare next time. Love the pod. Thanks, Misfit Scully. Love to hear your takes on this, but hope you enjoyed listening along with us and remembering it.
One thing I want to jump back onto the previous one, talking
Do
about
it.
Romana, because I always want to talk about Romana. Romana 1, she was great. Mary Tam.
Number one fan.
Do you think, like, was there a thought of maybe putting Rodan in the role of the person to watch him, and then they ended up casting someone else, and that's where Romana came from? Or was that always the plan? It seems like a missed opportunity to have the Doctor on Gallifrey, and then the next season he's going to have a companion that's a Time Lord, and not have that person in the story in some capacity. It feels kind of strange. I have to watch it again. I got to watch Ribos, at least the opening, because I don't remember. I remember like the White Guardians introduced, but like that must be the direct result of all of this business that we just saw.
Right.
I just can't remember.
We didn't have the benefit of having seen this whenever we saw that one, so yeah, that'd be interesting.
She's got that great like White Queen Narnia thing on. Mary Tam
looks
in that
stunning
one.
in this
She's
one.
the best.
Oh yeah.
All right,
Absolutely.
go on, Dan.
I shall. Last one here. Steve Waters says, "Love it, completely fucking mental, a glorious mess." I agree with part of that. I mean, it was fun and it was a mess. I think they successfully landed it. It was fine, but yeah, not the best. But enjoyed. So thank you everyone who did write to us on Twitter.
We have an
really
email. I
appreciate
think
that.
we have another Paul email. We have a Paul email in addition to Paul's tweets that I think is different content. I don't know if we have any other emails, but I remember there's at least one because it said "Goodbye to Leela" as the subject.
You are correct.
Is that the only one? I could read that if you want to look.
You read it. My
Okay,
friend.
this is from Paul. The idea was to introduce an Eliza Doolittle type to create a mentor-student dynamic. This seems to be the most thoughtful piece of supporting character conception since Liz Shaw was created to be the third Doctor's equal, but this time going the opposite way. Okay, I think so. He's talking about Leela. This is a generalized Leela commentary.
Yeah.
I know
On the
you guys
occasion of her
didn't
departure.
really take to Leela. I would say I did more than Dan.
Correct.
Yeah.
I didn't like the character. I just didn't.
Right.
The actor, Louise Jameson, fantastic. Did not like.
But I grew up with this iteration of the program, and I've always thought it was brilliant. It suited Tom Baker's increasingly haughty demeanor and gave a purpose to the "What is it, Doctor?" questioning on behalf of the audience, while giving Leela other characteristics that compensated for her ignorance. Finally, a genuinely balanced companion character whose very nature made the need for explanation part of a development arc, with, much to the horror of the Doctor, a gender role-defying tendency to deploy violence to resolve situations, creating a completely new dynamic in what was now a 15-year-old format. All right, so there you go. Oh, wait,
that's
there's
not
some
fair.
more
I mean,
stuff.
that's fair.
I got one more thing. It's running a little long, so I'm just going to throw a couple of these out there. This was at the time as significant a shift as when Battlestar Galactica was reformatted with stronger gender equality sensibilities in the 2000s.
Yeah.
Princess Leia,
As
the
a strong
contemptuous
female,
Star
yeah.
Wars franchise. This is a page-turning moment for female identification in pop culture. All right. Despite the amount of flesh on display, somehow Louise Jameson rises above objectification as an attractive woman in revealing animal skins, playing Leela with a lack of consciousness of her evident femininity. that it was neatly in keeping with the character, and the show had faced a crisis with the loss of Elizabeth Sladen and an increasingly egotistical leading man, and this move was a wily and successful solution to both by the talented production team. So there you go. A very
yeah, I agree with that.
interesting commentary there from Paul on Leela. And let's wave her goodbye.
Bye, Leela.
Bye, Leela.
I will miss that Savage somewhat, too. I won't miss them calling her Savage, but yeah.
Nobody will. We're fine. Dogs are just barking. It's cool. Are we done?
Anything else? I think that's
done?
it. Do we have any
All right.
reviews? I think we've tapped all the reviews we're going to get.
We have gotten no reviews since March of last year. So I think
no one in this pandemic. The first thing to go is
they're
podcast
not,
reviews.
They're not doing any stars. The stars are in hard supply with inflation. That's the thing.
Inflation and supply chain issues.
Yep,
you just
totally.
can't get those stars. So that's a problem.
So that's
But
it.
Hey, folks, what are we doing next time, Mr. Grissom?
Oh, don't you remember? It was the War Machines. Our last
that's right. You said the War Machine. You already said it.
Hartnell
That's right.
story.
Last Hartnell.
Yes, so we're going to say goodbye to Hartnell,
Hartnell.
and then for the rest of the go, it's going to be Pertwee Baker.
Pertwee Baker.
So I hope you like Pertwee and Baker, because it's Pertwee Baker all the way down. Oh, actually, until we get to the very final one, and we do Dalek's Invasion of Earth with Peter Cushing.
Right on.
Yay!
And then we're going to transition seamlessly into a Twin Peaks / Dune podcast.
Yeah, and then we just really switch gears.
That'd be great.
Start talking about the Bene Telex. See, you don't know what I'm talking about. With face dancers and stuff, Dan, you got to keep going.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. Oh, right on. All right. Folks, thank you so much. We will talk to you again in 3 weeks.
Yeah, we will. All right, see ya. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.
In the villa of all men, in the villa of all men, stands a solitary candle. In the center of it all, in the center of it all, you are.
Where's my robot? You know?